Hello and welcome back to Just the Receipts. This is the fourth and final installment of our series, a psychologist who's also a viewer, giving her thoughts and insights on the Summer Wells community and the true crime community here on YouTube. The intention of this series is to share feedback with the YouTube community in an effort to improve the overall experience for everyone, creators and viewers. We'd like to continue the conversation. We've seen your questions so far, and they're great questions, so please keep them coming. Please write a comment down below, and it could be chosen to be featured on a future episode. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the creators who have inserted themselves directly into the Summer Wells case, where they are contacting people who are involved in the case, who are traveling to the location. What compels a person to insert themselves into an active investigation?
Well, there's a word for it. It's called entitlement.
Okay.
But let me just tell you this. I know that I probably still sound pretty young, but I am an older person.
Okay.
And I have, in saying that, I'm explaining that I've seen social behaviors change a great deal across generations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done some generational studies that are indicative of how there's certain behaviors that are, specific to baby boomers or Gen Xers or millennials or, other groups of people in a generational categories. And I will tell you that there is, over a very short period of time, a change in people's gall,
Mm-hmm.
their position of I have the right to know,
Mm-hmm.
their invasiveness, their feeling of saying whatever they really feel despite what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have more of a cautionary sort of social behavior. And so it's as simple as this. I know not to swear in church or to swear in front of my mother. Okay.
Yeah.
Other people do too. But there is something that's happened that people have given themselves permission to cross personal lines, to jump beyond that 18-inch personal space and say, you need to be doing this. You should be doing that. There's a change in the mentality of people that's gone from social grace, calling before you come over, or, trying to frame your words to not be, to not invoke anger and things like that. That's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's out with cursive writing. People no longer really have the filters, the social filters or social personal discipline rules that say, it's probably inappropriate, to contact a criminal or to contact someone in an active case. Not necessarily a criminal that's already been convicted. I don't know. That's a whole nother psychological profile for another fun day.
Oh my gosh.
But there's a blend of entitlement to give themselves permission to just cross personal boundaries that didn't exist before, that are there now. And I'm not sure what to say other than it does seem to follow a certain generational pattern. As we get younger, the more entitled, the more less motivated groups of people are. They're the people that want to medal for participation, not for achievement, that kind of thing. We've moved toward that mentality. And this all goes into the melting pot of confrontational righteousness. I'm going to go ahead and get in your space because I can, and you can't do a thing about it. Let me tell you what your rights are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a lot of confrontational speech in our social fabric now that never existed before. That's a problem. And that's where you're getting a lot of people that go real life. I mean, people don't have a lot of understanding that there should be a barrier between your internet presence and your home presence. But we've now lost that or dissolved a great deal of those barriers because we're doing, so much interaction now online, including education. I mean, you can't talk bad about the internet anymore.
Mhm.
So, when we talk about people's ballsiness to go real life, we have to also consider they're not doing anything that's outside of social norms now, but you would have been vilified, probably a host of other things had you been that way, in years before. You just didn't do that. You didn't swear in church.
Right.
You didn't swear in front of your grandma. You didn't smoke cigarettes in front of your, on a family or whatever. That's all gone now. So it's in part with the whole mentality of I'm entitled. I'm going to do what I want to do. So
Have you been able to, just from what you've observed from me, my channel, our discussion, can you tell which generation I'm a part of?
well, I'm a psychologist, not a psychic, but
Okay. I'm just curious.
this is absolutely okay. I'm going to I make an educated guess only because of the fact that I feel like I can measure up the extent of your intelligence. I feel like I can almost measure up your geographic
Oh,
culture, but
wow.
I'm not going to do that. I do think that you are.
I do want to hear about that offline.
I'm thinking that you're in an age group that is between Gen X and millennial.
Yeah, you would be correct.
Okay.
I am
Well,
Gen
the reason
X. I'm fully Gen X, but I do have a lot of millennial friends.
Well, I wanted to say Gen X, and the reason I didn't say Gen X is because I have a social filter that tells me to err on the side of flattery.
Right.
Versus, no, seriously. That's
hear
what
you
you just saw.
Yes. Yes.
So I would have said, yes, I think that you probably are a Gen Xer, and there's a list of personality traits that could indicate that, but you fall into an understanding of millennial existence while still having comprehensions that I've picked up in our conversations and in the interactions we've had so far, and in the material you put out there, that you do have, you do possess some qualities and characteristics that are more mature than the current day millennial or the millennial profile in the generation just beneath Gen X. So I can tell that you have millennial proficiencies, but that you have a maturity and an understanding of a Gen X role model, if not yourself being a Gen X. So that's the reason I say that.
Okay, that's.
I might be a little psychic. I don't know. Just so I feel like you have. I feel like you're educated. I would say you probably have at least a bachelor's degree, and that you have an understanding through your education of generational indicators that gives you a proficiency to be able to talk about baby boomers, but maybe not necessarily understand and experience it. Mm-hmm. You don't sound like a baby boomer. I don't think I do either.
So interesting. It's so interesting. I think some of the viewers will appreciate if I ask this.
Okay.
I would ask for you to very honestly and bluntly critique my channel, its content, and if you feel that it's accomplishing somewhat of the mission of informing people of kind of the undertones of a channel being monetarily motivated.
Well, I can critique your channel to an extent. And the reason being is I haven't watched all your videos. Mm-hmm. You and I are just getting to be familiar with one another. And to be honest with you, I haven't critically evaluated your channel. But to that end, I can give you some feedback, especially after having taken a look at some of these social models that I looked at before our discussion today, just because I wanted to look at, what the possibilities were that we were discussing. I do feel like your channel is a call out channel. Mm-hmm. And a call out channel is an important function in our YouTube community right now. There are several call out channels that are out there. Quite a few of them, well, I'll just say a couple of them in particular, and one that I have a membership with. The only channel that I bought a membership with happens to be a call out channel. It's not yours. I'm sorry.
Yep. I don't have memberships.
Excuse me. Well, yeah, there's that too. But your channel, being a call out channel, has an important role, especially right now, because we need to be able to have fair perspectives in other ways. All right. I do believe that you are bringing some truth perspectives in your videos. The thing that I would be careful of is making sure that it's not teasing, but I understand why, because there's a passionate desire to say, hey, I'm seeing stuff that's not right. And because of the fact that this is a community that is so highly charged emotionally, I'm not even sure if I can say it. You know, I might have to just say this anonymously as best I can. That's no different than a lot of other call out channels. They don't necessarily use their real names because you're trying to bring fair balance to understand that, hey, there are some things that aren't right or should be looked at or considered. The way that I view your channel happens to be one of those kind of channels, but you have to be really careful that you aren't using negative things like guilt, and being bullied or, bullying or pushing people. I don't really get that sense from you though. I don't perceive that sense. I perceive you as being somebody from the Lulz Cow community. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I adore those people. And most people probably don't even know what Lulz Cow is. It happens to actually be an individual that has created so many funny things about themselves and about their circumstances that you can't help but laugh at it. So in fairness, your channel does come across as being a fair call out channel to me. I don't get the sense that you're trying to be mean or, unnecessarily cruel or whatever. And I don't have a lot of negative things to say. I'm trying to actively listen and, encourage, be encouraging where I can. And, I think that accountability is a problem in general. And what you're doing is you are pushing accountability. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Mm-hmm. So, in fairness, I think that your channel is doing if that's what you want it to do, I think that you're accomplishing that goal in a fair and creative way. And the only cautions I would give is those that other call out channels have accidentally aired into. And that is, being pushing and bullying and trying to provoke anger. It's hard not to, when you're pointing out, look, you're being bilked a lot of money, but there's also a way of putting out there with just the receipts. Your concept of saying the receipt should speak for themselves makes it extremely fair and extremely reasonable. You can't argue with receipts. Mm-hmm. And that's something you offer that other call out channels really aren't offering right up front. So there's a value to what you're doing and a value to what you're putting out there. And I think I encourage you to continue.
How will I know that? Because, sometimes I listen to hours and hours and hours mm-hmm. of footage, and I play it on double speed while I'm doing other things. And it does get tedious, just because of the content creator's style of long pauses or speaking very slowly.
Yeah.
So when I sit down,
I'm a fan of speed control. Yes, I understand.
Yeah. So when I sit down to start cutting up the clips and putting them together, and then thinking, okay, here's the information that I think is funny, that I find inconsistencies in, and I gather that all together, and then I start to think creatively. I'm like, okay, how can I present this in a funny way or thought provoking? How do I know? Because sometimes I feel like I get absorbed into that process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do I know when I'm starting to cross over into that line of being bullying or teasing?
Well, I'd have to answer that with a question, and that is, how do you know how your viewers are feeling on any given day they're viewing your videos? Because that's going to be how that question is answered.
Okay.
If I am really angry and I'm coming in and I'm viewing your video, and man, you're doing it on a creator I have a real big problem with or whatever, you're going to get a lot different dynamic in return from me than you would from somebody that's just going there for information.
Right.
Or a hate watcher, somebody that that's a fan of who you're not in favor of, wanting to refute, or, what I mean, there's the motivation of a participant, of a viewer, is a wide range. And it just kind of depends on how they feel on any given day. The people that watch you aren't all your fans. They're not going, and I will argue that the large majority are not.
And that's
no,
okay,
seriously.
as
I mean,
long
you
as
have
they're
to
watching.
assume that.
Yeah. As long as
Yeah.
they keep watching, I'm fine with that.
But you're not going to know. That's what I'm telling you. You're not going to know. The only thing that you can do is do you, and do it in as fair of a way as you can without looking like you're going high school on them.
Right.
I don't, with the example of your last video,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with your last video other than the length of time in the beginning. Think that you could, cut down on the intro effects or whatever is what I'm saying. Maybe too much snorting, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
that seems to be like provoking, teasing. That would be how I might interpret that if I were in that kind of mood that day.
Okay.
I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying this is how it's broadly received.
Yeah.
But so you're not going to know. The only thing you're going to be able to do is do you. I'm going to encourage you to look up that info on the triangle that we had talked about earlier, so that you can see the positive side of those, because I do think that that's a pretty good guide. When we're looking at the challenger portion of that model, you can ask yourself, is my video communicating assertively? Am I getting my point across? Am I expressing my views without being overbearing? Am I setting certain boundaries I won't do, like swear or call them names or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Am I trying to actively reflect that I've heard what my audience has said? And then there are a list of other things that are on here too, that make you more of a challenger rather than a persecutor, somebody that's just making videos to try to say, haha, look at you, or, oh my God, what a terrible, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I would grade my video when I make it. Have I followed these certain values so that I'm viewed as best, with the best of intentions?
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. That would be responsible creating, and that would be far more than anybody else does.
Okay. I do want to be, I do want to be responsible with what I'm doing. There was one creator who, had been doing very, very well when they first started their channel, and then something happened, and there was a drop off of content and an increase in asking for money. And that pretty much became the content. And, but then they went back to creating content. So when I saw that, I said, okay, I'm not even gonna, there are always going to be things that I can pick apart, of course. And, but I thought, well, if they're getting back on track, I have no reason, I'm just going to lay off and just let them go and see, but unfortunately they slipped back a little bit.
I think that we have, well, first of all, we're going to have a ton of people with mental health problems because, again, COVID affected the influx of how many people are out here now, and, including creators that have no business being creators. We've got creators breaking laws right and left. They're doing drugs online. They're doing all kinds of different things. Where's YouTube's rules? Where's the person that comes down and says, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You can't be using the N-word. You can't be doing. There's a very clear lack of, I don't know, punishment, lack of rules, lack of enforcement.
Yeah.
When it comes to how people are behaving, it has to be in writing before they get involved, such as copyright or whatever. They'll act on that because that's legal.
Mm-hmm.
But they let all kinds of behaviors go on online that, because creators are considered contractors in YouTube, not employees. You're contractors if you're monetized.
Yeah.
and essentially your contractors, even if you're not monetized, because that keeps you in a distant role for having to do something about how people behave. Right. So we've got a lot of really bad behaviors out there that are unchecked, that affect other people, and that we can do nothing about. You're in a very small category of people who are trying to responsibly create. So you're going to constantly fight this dynamic, mm-hmm. But I mean, you need to do it because we're out here counting on you, we don't have an outlet as viewers to be able to say, look, this is what I saw. Here's the receipts.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. We need somebody that's going to bring, ethically and morally valuable information, mm-hmm. And deliver it in a way that is entertaining, which you do. I think it's been fair. I have not seen a video yet. I haven't seen them all, but I have not seen a video from you yet that seems to be really bad mocking or bullying or anything. I don't think that comes across on you at all. But we need your channel. We need you in this community.
I appreciate you saying that. I really do.
I appreciate you having the channel.
Thank you. And that's why I felt motivated to have this channel in the first place, was seeing things that no one else seemed to be calling out. The Laws Cows call out community, they approach it in a very different way, because I don't mm-hmm. think that they are part of the true crime community. Well, I know that they're not. They've been involved in it in the past few months or so, but they don't have a lot of the back history. And I've only been involved in the true crime community since June, since Summer Wells disappeared.
Mm-hmm. That's about the same time for me too. Well, true crime, yes. About the same time, yeah.
Yep. And my other channel is an entirely different topic, and I'm on camera on that channel. It's entirely different, yeah. Because I'm working on a video now that shows the analytics on that channel, and because I
mm-hmm.
have far more history with that channel to show, like, this is the progression over several years, the evolution of a channel monetarily and with the ads and how everything works, and I say in that video, I blocked out all the video titles, and it's not really a big deal, but I think the viewers are so different on each channel, and the demographic is similar, and I think the people have some things in common, but I can't see the communities intertwining much or appreciating that. So I'd like to keep them separate as long as I can. But what motivated me to start the channel in the first place, we discussed a little bit. There was what I felt was a huge injustice on a person who's not even a creator, who didn't involve themselves in any kind of a negative way or directly with any creator, and was contributing in a very positive manner to the community at large with commentary, financially. And this person was very unjustly, I think attacked is overused in these videos, because if you've been attacked, it seems pretty trite to call a verbal bash an attack. But it was unjust, and the person was very deeply affected. And I didn't have this channel, but I made a video, just in support of this person, saying, this is a well-loved person in this community and respected. And for this to happen to this person is just atrocious. And seeing, and when Doug did his verbal abuse, and I do have I have a few videos on that, so I don't
saw them, got them all.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's why I'm saying his name, because I have made videos and I have a whole playlist of that. And that's what motivated me to use my voice on the channel, because I didn't intend to use my voice at all. I thought, I can present the receipts, I'll try to make it entertaining, and that's really all that needs to be done. But when I heard his explanation of what had happened, there's no way that I could not. I had so much to say, basically.
Sure.
So I had to And I was so angry making that video. It was late at night. I just sat down and started talking, and I wasn't sure if I would publish it, but realizing that it had far more of an impact than I ever realized.
Yes, it did.
There were so many people that witnessed that felt triggered by it. And for the next day, just to be told that nothing happened, no big deal, he was in a bad mood, or that person that triggered him, you know how that person is. And I said, oh no, I heard this myself. That is not at all the case. And I think it was a little bit of validation for some people who did feel that it was very abusive, and all the excuses made. And that needed to be called out, I felt. And that was probably in some way therapeutic for myself, maybe, calling out someone that maybe I haven't been able to do in my personal life. So really just analyzing Doug in my very non-professional layman's way, and just what I was seeing, and calling him out for it. That probably helped me too.
Yeah, it felt good, didn't it? Well, let me just offer you this. I think that you offering your voice was critical to what your objectives were for that video. Or for those, there was a series of them. Weren't there 4, I think, or something? I think that was needful. It was important. Somebody had to do that.
Right.
Because this is what we were seeing, domestic abuse online actively going on in front of us.
Yeah.
Had nobody said things fairly as you did, you said things very fairly. And it needed to be said. It needed to be outed the way that it was. Easy to digest and understand as a viewer who didn't know what happened. Right. But extremely triggering. But I think that your voice was critical, because had you done a robotic voice or no voice at all, right, the delivery and receipt would have been much different. So that was a great choice to do it with your voice. Isn't part of your objective to actually be heard to the extent that it makes a little bit of a difference?
Absolutely. I want everyone to be, I don't know how this sounds, but I want everyone to be better. I want everyone to be a better creator. Like, know what your channel's mission is. What is your goal? And work towards that. And stop asking for money, period. I feel, and that's a tangent for me. Monetize your channel so that you can invest that money back into your channel, instead of asking your viewers for the money for the equipment that you need and for the research that you need. And that's why you should monetize a channel, in my opinion, to give the viewers more content, more quality content, rather than always asking them to give to you. That's not how I don't think that's how YouTube intended for this relationship to be.
Correct. Yeah. That's the inherent purpose of it.
Right.
For you to, yeah, absolutely. And I really enjoyed this. I really feel like, it's a really helpful conversation to have. And I feel like this is something that people can benefit from. So the only thing that I would say is, we should maybe consider this the start of dialogues. Mm-hmm. Not just a dialogue about things. It's the start of dialogues about, how YouTube is as a community, and things that go on, the things we've talked about.
Yeah.
We need to continue this kind of dialogue, I believe.
Yeah. I'm so interested to see what the viewers are going to say about this conversation.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to spend time with you. I enjoyed this a lot, and I feel like we talked about things that have to be talked about somehow, and I'm not sure how else we could make that happen other than to, put this together. So I'll certainly be on hand anytime you might want some additional conversations.